Hello, I'm Dr. Rachel Bennett. For over 3 decades, I've had the privilege of sitting with women in the most intimate of settings, discussing their health, their fears, and their joys as they navigate the rich tapestry of life beyond 60. From my practice here in beautiful San Diego, California, I've listened to thousands of stories, and I've come to understand a profound truth. The conversation about women's health, especially our hormonal health, doesn't end with menopause. In fact, it enters a new, incredibly important chapter. What if I told you that an act celebrated for its health benefits, a private, personal expression of self, could, when approached unconsciously, be subtly disrupting the very hormonal harmony you're trying to maintain? It's a startling thought, I know. We live in an era where the taboos around female pleasure are finally dissolving, and women of all ages are encouraged to embrace their bodies and their desires. This is a magnificent, long overdue evolution. We're often told that self-pleasure is a panacea. It reduces stress, improves sleep, and connects us to ourselves. And while this is overwhelmingly true, the conversation often stops there, leaving out a crucial piece of the puzzle for women in their golden years. The popular narrative paints a broad, simplistic stroke. If it feels good, it must be good for you, period. But our bodies after 60 are not the same as they were at 30. They are magnificent, resilient, and wise, but they operate on a different set of rules. The gentle ebb and flow of estrogen and progesterone that once governed our cycles has given way to a new, more delicate equilibrium. This new balance is profoundly influenced not just by what we do, but by how, when, and with what we do it. The assumption that any and all forms of self-pleasure are inherently beneficial without nuance is a myth that can quietly cause ripples of disruption. It's like assuming a powerful medication is beneficial at any dose, at any time of day, without considering its interaction with your unique physiology. Today, I want to pull back the curtain on this topic with the care and scientific respect it deserves. We are going to explore 4 specific, seemingly innocent habits related to self-pleasure that I've seen repeatedly contribute to hormonal imbalance in my patients. This isn't about fear or restriction. It's about empowerment through knowledge. It's about trading unconscious habits for conscious choices, ensuring that this beautiful act of self-care truly serves your body, mind, and spirit. We'll delve into the science, share stories of real women, and uncover simple, powerful adjustments you can make starting today. This is the conversation we should have been having all along. One of the most common patterns I see is what I've come to call the late-night stress signal. This is the habit of reserving self-pleasure exclusively for the final moments before sleep, often as a way to decompress from the day and drift off. On the surface, it makes perfect sense. In our busy lives, late at night is often the only time we have true privacy and quiet. For many, it's a ritual used to combat insomnia or anxiety, a seemingly healthy alternative to a sleeping pill or a glass of wine. The old way of thinking says that an orgasm's relaxing after effects are the perfect sleep aid. The problem isn't the act itself, but the timing and the physiological message it sends to your adrenal system. Our bodies are governed by a master clock known as the circadian rhythm. This internal 24-hour cycle dictates the rise and fall of various hormones, most notably cortisol. Cortisol, often called the stress hormone, is naturally highest in the morning to wake us up and give us energy, and it should gradually taper to its lowest point around midnight to allow for deep, restorative sleep. However, sexual stimulation, even solo, is an excitatory event. It elevates heart rate, blood pressure, and yes, it triggers a release of hormones, including a small but significant burst of cortisol. When you engage in this highly stimulating activity, right when your body is preparing for its deepest rest phase, you are sending a profoundly mixed signal. You're essentially slamming on the gas pedal and the brake at the same time. You're telling your adrenal glands to wake up and perform at the very moment your brain and body are trying to power down. This nightly jolt can prevent your cortisol levels from reaching that crucial midnight low. The importance of this cannot be overstated for a woman over 60. Maintaining this new hormonal balance is like keeping a finely tuned orchestra in harmony. If one section is playing at the wrong time, it can throw the entire performance into disarray. When your cortisol rhythm is chronically disrupted, it creates a cascade of hormonal consequences. This nightly cortisol spike can interfere with melatonin production, the hormone that governs sleep itself, leading to that frustrating, tired but wired feeling and poor sleep quality. But it goes deeper. Cortisol is made from the same hormonal precursors as progesterone and DHEA. When your body is constantly being told to produce more cortisol to handle this late-night stimulation, it can effectively steal the building blocks from these other vital hormones, a phenomenon known as the pregnenolone steal. For postmenopausal women who already have naturally lower levels of progesterone, preserving what you have is critical. Progesterone is not just a reproductive hormone. It's a calming, anti-anxiety agent that helps with mood and brain function. This nightly disruption, compounded over weeks and months, can contribute to increased anxiety, persistent fatigue, brain fog, and stubborn weight gain around the middle, symptoms many women attribute simply to aging, when in fact they may be exacerbated by this well-intentioned but ill-timed habit. The solution is to become more conscious of your body's natural rhythm. It involves shifting your mindset from using pleasure as a last-ditch sleep aid to integrating it as a part of a healthier, more intentional routine. The first and most effective strategy is to try and uncouple this act from the immediate prelude to sleep. Perhaps you can create a new ritual earlier in the evening, maybe after dinner has settled, or during that quiet hour when the sun has set, but your mind isn't yet in sleep mode. This allows your body to enjoy the full benefits of the oxytocin and endorphin release, without the conflicting cortisol surge right before bed. If late night truly is the only time available, then the key is to build a buffer zone of calm afterward. Instead of trying to fall asleep immediately in that post-arousal state, dedicate 20, 30 minutes to a deliberate wind-down routine. This could involve gentle stretching, reading a physical book, not a blue light-emitting tablet, practicing deep diaphragmatic breathing, or listening to a guided meditation. The goal is to consciously help your nervous system shift from its fight-or-flight sympathetic state to the rest and digest parasympathetic state, allowing cortisol to fall as it should. I recall a patient, Eleanor, a 71-year-old retired librarian from Austin, Texas, who was the epitome of this struggle. She came to me complaining of debilitating fatigue and a sense of anxiety she'd never had before. Her sleep was a disaster. She'd fall asleep exhausted, but wake up every 2 hours, her mind racing. We went through her diet, her medications, her stress levels. Everything seemed in order. Then, in a follow-up visit, she shyly mentioned her nightly relaxation ritual, which she'd relied on for years to fall asleep. It was her secret weapon against an overactive mind. On a hunch, we decided to experiment. For 2 weeks, she shifted her personal time to 8:30 p.m., right after she finished her evening tea. Afterward, she would read a novel for half an hour before heading to bed. The change was not instantaneous, but within a month, the transformation was remarkable. Her sleep tracker showed a significant increase in deep sleep, and she reported waking up feeling for the first time in years, truly refreshed. Her anxiety had noticeably lessened. By simply rescheduling her ritual, she had allowed her body's hormones to resynchronize, and it made all the difference. She hadn't given up a cherished part of her life. She had simply learned to dance with her body's rhythm instead of against it. As you listen to this, I'd like you to pause and reflect on your own routines. Does Eleanor's story resonate with you? Do you find yourself using self-pleasure as a way to force sleep when your body feels restless? There is absolutely no judgment here, only a desire to help you find what works best for your unique physiology. If you feel this information has been helpful and gives you a new perspective to consider, please let me know by typing a 1 in the comments below. If you feel this doesn't apply to you or wasn't helpful, please type a 0. Your feedback is invaluable and helps me create content that truly serves you. Next, let's move from the when to the what. I want to discuss something that sits on the nightstands of millions of women: personal lubricant. This is a topic of immense importance, especially as vaginal tissues change after menopause due to decreased estrogen, often leading to dryness and a greater need for lubrication to ensure comfort. The old way of thinking was simply, if it's slippery, it's good. We'd go to the local pharmacy, grab a well-known brand off the shelf, and assume that if it's sold for this purpose, it must be safe. We've been conditioned to check ingredients for our food and our face creams, but a surprising blind spot exists for products used on some of the most sensitive and absorbent tissue in our bodies. The problem is that many mainstream popular lubricants are formulated with chemicals that can act as endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disrupting chemicals, or EDCs, are substances that can interfere with any aspect of hormone action. They can mimic our natural hormones, block them, or interfere with their production and metabolism. When you apply a product containing EDCs to the delicate, highly vascular mucous membranes of the vulva and vagina, these chemicals can be absorbed directly into your bloodstream, bypassing the initial detoxification process of the liver that occurs when you ingest something. The importance of this for women over 60 is profound. Your endocrine system is already working with a different, more delicate baseline of hormones. It has less of a buffer to handle outside interference. Introducing EDCs into this system is like throwing a handful of static into a sensitive radio transmission. It creates noise and disrupts the clear signals your body needs to function optimally. Some of the most common culprits found in lubricants include parabens, like methylparaben or propylparaben, which are used as preservatives but can mimic estrogen. For a woman's body that is sensitive to hormonal fluctuations, this estrogenic activity can be problematic. Another is glycerin, a sugar-based alcohol that can disrupt the natural pH of the vagina, potentially leading to yeast infections or bacterial vaginosis, creating a state of chronic inflammation that further stresses the body's systems. You might also find propylene glycol, a chemical that can be irritating to tissues, and various fragrances or perfumes, which are often proprietary blends that can hide phthalates, a notorious class of EDCs linked to numerous health concerns. When you are using these products regularly, you are creating a cumulative exposure, a steady drip of hormonal disruptors into your system that can contribute over time to fatigue, mood swings, and other symptoms of imbalance that you might be struggling with. The solution is to become a vaginal health detective and an empowered consumer. This means turning that bottle around and reading the ingredient list with the same scrutiny you would for a carton of milk. The goal is to choose a lubricant that is not only effective, but also body safe. Look for products that are water-based or silicone-based, as oil-based lubricants can degrade latex condoms, a consideration if you have a partner, and can be difficult for the vagina to clean itself of. Most importantly, look for what is not on the list. Seek out labels that proudly state they are paraben-free, glycerin-free, fragrance-free, and phthalate-free. Many wonderful, body-safe brands are now available, often sold online or in natural health food stores. They typically use simple, soothing ingredients like aloe vera, chamomile, or hyaluronic acid, which is excellent for hydration. Making the switch is one of the easiest and most impactful changes you can make for your long-term hormonal health. I remember a patient named Margaret, a 66-year-old retired nurse from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She was incredibly health conscious, ate a pristine organic diet, and exercised regularly. Yet, she was plagued by recurrent low-grade yeast infections and a persistent feeling of being off. During her visit, we discussed her sexual health, and she mentioned using a popular warming sensation lubricant she'd bought at a big box store. She loved the product but had never once looked at the ingredients. I printed out the ingredient list for her, and we circled the glycerin, propylene glycol, and fragrance. I recommended she switch to a simple organic aloe-based lubricant. She was skeptical that such a small change could matter. 2 months later, she returned for a checkup, and the difference was palpable. Her chronic infections had cleared up entirely. But more than that, she said she felt a clarity she hadn't realized was missing. By removing that source of chronic inflammation and chemical exposure, her body was able to find its equilibrium again. It was a powerful lesson in how even the smallest, most overlooked products can have a significant impact on our overall well-being. Take a moment to think about the products you are using. Have you ever read the ingredient list on your lubricant? Did you even know that this was something to be concerned about? This information isn't meant to scare you, but to empower you to make choices that honor and protect your body. If you found this section eye-opening and you're planning to check your products, let me know with a 1 in the comments. If you were already aware of this and use body-safe products, or if you don't find this relevant, please type a 0. Your honest feedback helps guide our future conversations. The third habit is more subtle and resides not in a bottle or on a clock, but in our minds. I call this the pleasure as performance mindset. This is the habit of approaching self-pleasure with a goal-oriented, almost anxious energy. It's rooted in the idea that there is a right way to feel, a certain peak to be achieved, and if it doesn't happen or doesn't happen quickly enough, it's a failure. This mindset can be fueled by past experiences, by articles we've read, or by an internal pressure to get the job done so we can get on with our day or get to sleep. The old way of thinking frames sexual response as a simple, mechanical process. But the reality, especially as our bodies change with age, is that arousal and climax are deeply intertwined with our mental and emotional state. The problem with the performance-based approach is that it frames an act of sensuality and relaxation within a context of stress. It engages the sympathetic nervous system, our fight or flight response, which is the physiological opposite of the relaxed, receptive parasympathetic state required for true, deep pleasure and arousal. When you are subconsciously worried about the outcome, you are, on a chemical level, producing cortisol and adrenaline. These stress hormones are potent vasoconstrictors, meaning they tighten blood vessels and can actually reduce blood flow to the genital area, making arousal more difficult and sensation less intense. This creates a vicious cycle. The anxiety about not reaching orgasm makes it physically harder to do so, which in turn creates more anxiety. The importance of breaking this cycle is paramount for your hormonal health. Living in this loop, even for just a few minutes each day or week, reinforces a neural pathway that connects pleasure with pressure. This chronic, low-grade stress response can have the same disruptive effect on your overall hormonal balance as any other chronic stressor. It can dysregulate your cortisol curve, impact your thyroid function, and disrupt your sleep, even if you do eventually achieve a release. The orgasm itself might provide a momentary flood of feel-good endorphins, but the underlying stress state it took to get there leaves a negative hormonal residue. True hormonal balance isn't about chasing peaks of pleasure. It's about cultivating a baseline of calm, safety, and well-being in the body. When an act that is meant to be restorative becomes another item on your mental to-do list, another performance to be graded, it defeats its own beautiful purpose. The solution lies in a radical shift of intention, from striving to receiving. It's about consciously releasing the goal and focusing instead on the process and the sensations of the present moment. This is a practice, and it starts before the act itself. Take a few deep, cleansing breaths. Place a hand on your heart and one on your belly, and simply feel your body. Set an intention not to achieve anything, but simply to explore and be with yourself. Focus on sensory details, the texture of the sheets, the temperature of the air, the feeling of your own touch. If you find your mind starting to wander or worry, is this working? Why is it taking so long? Gently guide it back to a physical sensation. This is a mindfulness practice applied to the realm of sensuality. Another powerful tool is to expand your definition of self-pleasure beyond just genital touch. It can start with a warm bath, with lovingly applying lotion to your whole body, with gentle massage of your neck and shoulders. By broadening the scope, you take the pressure off a single outcome and allow your body to relax into a state of sensuous receptivity. I worked with a woman named Brenda, a 69-year-old retired executive from Chicago who was a classic high achiever. She brought her boardroom mentality into every aspect of her life, including this one. She confessed with some embarrassment that she would get frustrated with herself if she couldn't achieve an orgasm within a certain time frame, feeling it was inefficient. She was suffering from insomnia and high blood pressure, and her cortisol tests showed a profile that was elevated all day long. I challenged her to reframe her personal time. For 1 month, her only goal was to touch her body for 10 minutes with no expectation of orgasm. Her task was simply to notice sensations. She found it incredibly difficult at first, her mind constantly nagging her to get on with it. But she persisted. Gradually, she described a profound shift. She started noticing subtleties of sensation she'd never paid attention to before. The pressure vanished, and in its place, a sense of curiosity and playfulness emerged. Paradoxically, as soon as she truly let go of the goal, her body responded more freely and deeply than ever before. More importantly, this practice of mindful sensuality began to permeate other areas of her life. She became more present, less reactive, and her blood pressure started to trend downwards. She learned that true pleasure wasn't a goal to be conquered, but a state to be inhabited. Now, I invite you to be truly honest with yourself. When you engage in self-pleasure, is there a part of you that is watching the clock, judging your progress, or feeling a sense of pressure? Is it an act of joyful exploration, or does it sometimes feel like a task? This is a deep question, and your honest answer is a gift to yourself. If this idea of striving versus receiving makes sense to you and you see a bit of yourself in this story, please let me know with a 1. If this doesn't resonate with you at all, please type a 0. Your honest self-reflection is the first step toward positive change. Finally, let's address the fourth habit, which is about our physical approach. I call this the ergonomic neglect habit. This is the tendency to get into a physically awkward or tense position during self-pleasure and simply power through it, ignoring the signals of discomfort from other parts of our bodies, like our neck, back, or hips. It's also about the use of tools, like vibrators, without considering their design and how it interacts with our unique anatomy. The old way of thinking is that as long as we are achieving the desired sensation in the target area, the comfort of the rest of our body is secondary. We might contort ourselves into a strange position, tensing our jaw, hunching our shoulders, or arching our back in a strained way, completely unaware of the tension we are creating. With the rise of powerful vibrators, there's also a tendency to apply intense, high-frequency stimulation without variation, which can sometimes lead to a numbing effect or overstimulation of the nervous system. The problem is that our bodies are not a collection of disconnected parts. They are a single integrated system. When you hold tension in your neck or clench your jaw, your body registers this as a stressor. It releases stress hormones in response to this physical strain, even as another part of your body is experiencing pleasure. This creates another instance of that gas pedal and brake scenario, sending mixed signals and contributing to hormonal disruption. The importance of ergonomic awareness during this intimate act is twofold. Firstly, it prevents the release of unnecessary stress hormones, protecting your delicate hormonal balance. Chronic physical tension from any source tells your adrenal glands to stay on high alert. By ensuring your entire body is relaxed and supported, you create a holistic state of calm that allows the positive, stress-reducing hormones like oxytocin to work their magic without being counteracted by cortisol. Secondly, it is crucial for the health of your pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is a complex web of muscles that supports your internal organs. For many women post-60, maintaining pelvic floor tone is vital for preventing issues like incontinence and prolapse. When you are in a strained position, you can inadvertently put excessive pressure on or create tension in these crucial muscles. Over time, this can weaken the pelvic floor or lead to hypertonicity, muscles that are too tight, both of which can cause pain and dysfunction. The solution is to approach self-pleasure with the same mindful attention to physical comfort that you would bring to a yoga practice or a new exercise. This means preparing your environment. Use pillows, lots of them. Prop them under your knees to release your lower back, behind your head and neck for support, or under your hips to change the angle and find what feels most comfortable and open. Pay attention to your body's signals. Is your jaw clenched? Consciously release it. Are your shoulders creeping up to your ears? Roll them back and down. Is your breathing shallow? Take long, deep belly breaths. If you use a toy, choose one that is ergonomically designed. Look for shapes that feel comfortable in your hand and on your body, made from body-safe silicone. Vary the stimulation. Our nervous systems respond beautifully to novelty. Alternate between different speeds, patterns, and even different locations. The goal is to create an experience that feels safe, supportive, and comfortable for your entire body, not just one part of it. I think of a patient, Sarah, a vibrant 74-year-old artist from Santa Fe, New Mexico. She came to me with persistent lower back pain and a surprising diagnosis of a hypertonic, overly tight pelvic floor. She was doing all the right things, stretching, walking, but nothing seemed to help. As we talked through all aspects of her life, she mentioned, almost as an aside, that she often felt sore after her personal time. We discovered that her go-to position involved propping herself up on one elbow in a way that twisted her spine and caused her to tense her core and pelvic muscles. She was so focused on the point of stimulation that she was completely ignoring the discomfort building in the rest of her body. I gave her homework that had nothing to do with traditional exercises and everything to do with creating what we called a pleasure nest. She was to use pillows to create a fully supported, comfortable position before she even began. Her only job was to notice and release any tension she felt in her body. It took practice, but after a few weeks, she reported that not only was her back pain significantly reduced, but her pleasure had deepened. By allowing her whole body to relax, she was able to be more present and receptive to sensation. She had unlearned the habit of straining for pleasure and learned to invite it in a state of total physical ease. So I ask you to consider your own physical experience. When you are in these private moments, are you truly comfortable? Do you notice tension in your neck, your jaw, your back? Have you ever thought about how your physical posture might be impacting your hormonal and pelvic health? If this is a new concept for you and it's given you something to think about, please type a 1 in the comments. If you feel you are already very mindful of your body's comfort in this way, let me know with a 0. Your feedback is so incredibly helpful. As we bring our conversation to a close, let's take a moment to breathe and reflect on what we've uncovered together. We've journeyed through 4 subtle yet powerful habits that can quietly disrupt the hormonal harmony we cherish in our later years. We explored the late-night stress signal, understanding that the timing of our self-care rituals matters, and that dancing with our body's natural cortisol rhythm is key. We became vaginal health detectives, learning to scrutinize the ingredients in our lubricants and protect ourselves from endocrine-disrupting chemicals. We delved into the mind, dismantling the pleasure as performance mindset and embracing a shift from anxious striving to mindful receiving. And finally, we honored our physical selves by addressing ergonomic neglect, recognizing that true pleasure flourishes when the entire body is comfortable, supported, and at ease. The common thread weaving through all of these points is a single beautiful concept: awareness. It's about moving from unconscious habit to conscious choice. This journey isn't about adding more rules or restrictions to your life. It's about subtracting the unnoticed stressors and replacing them with intentional acts of self-love that honor the magnificent wisdom of your body after 60. It's about making sure that this profound act of self-connection truly nourishes you on every level, hormonally, emotionally, and physically. My final piece of advice to you today is this: approach your body with boundless curiosity and compassion. It has been your faithful companion for your entire life, and it is doing its absolute best for you every single day. Listen to its whispers, the subtle signs of discomfort, the feelings of being off, the tension in your shoulders. These are not signs of failure. They are loving invitations to pay closer attention. You hold the power to become the most attentive and caring partner to your own body. The most valuable lesson I've learned, both as a physician and as a woman, is that health is not a destination you arrive at, but a continuous dance of listening and responding. The quality of our lives is determined by the quality of this internal dialogue. So, listen with love, respond with care, and never, ever stop exploring what it means to feel truly vibrant and alive in the beautiful skin you are in. I hope this conversation has been illuminating and empowering for you. This is a topic that deserves to be discussed with openness and respect, and your presence here contributes to that important shift. I would love to hear your thoughts. What was the biggest takeaway for you from our discussion today? Please share in the comments below, as your insights enrich our entire community. If you found this information valuable, please share this with the women in your life, your friends, your sisters, your daughters. Let's continue to support each other with knowledge and grace. And of course, if you would like to continue having these kinds of deep, honest conversations about women's health, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content to help you thrive in every chapter of your life. Thank you for your time and your trust. Be well.